Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Elise. I hope you're all doing so good today. We're doing a unique video on my channel for me because I am celebrating my 1 year Booktubersary, my 1 year anniversary on Booktube. Technically, this is overdue. So my 1 year anniversary on Booktube was the last week of June. We're now in August, so my technical 1 year anniversary has long gone by, but I wanted to make a little video to celebrate my first year on Booktube, and mainly this video is going to be me talking about what my experience has been like on Booktube in my first year, and then the second half of this video is going to comprise of Booktube shoutouts. So I'm going to be recommending a lot of channels that I really love. I'll have superlatives for them to kind of give you an indication of what you might expect from that channel. So that will be the second half of the video, and the first half will just be a chatty kind of what has my experience been so far. This is a little bit of like a video diary in a sense for me to get to track what my experience with Booktube has been like. So I can look back on this and also just reflect for myself of like what I've gotten out of the channel so far. Has it affected my reading? Those types of things. So chatty, and then into some Booktube shoutouts and recommendations. So that will be the format of the video. Hopefully you enjoy it. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in and start talking about my first year on Booktube. First of all, I'm sure like everyone says, I can't believe it's already been a full year, or in this case, over a full year. It has gone by very quickly, and I already feel like I have learned so much compared to when I first started. I mean, to give you a sense of when I first started, my first video had like nothing. It didn't even have a title on the thumbnail. So we went from like a very basic to still very basic editing. I do not do a lot of editing, but there has been leaps and bounds in the time that I've been on here. So I've learned a lot along the way. It's really interesting because I was looking back at some of my first videos, and one, the quality is just a lot different, but I think early on, one of my most popular videos was my anticipated Women in Translation video that I did last year in August, so exactly a year ago. That's one of my most watched videos. That video, not only did it not have a thumbnail, so I somehow did not make a thumbnail for it, and when that happens in YouTube, it auto-generates a thumbnail for you. So it just takes a random shot from the video and makes that the thumbnail. So not only did it not have a thumbnail, it just had an auto-generated one. Didn't have a title in the thumbnail, and there's a typo in the title of the actual video itself for YouTube. And I'm like, I can't believe that that's one of my most watched videos, and like that video had nothing going for it as far as the editing goes. So thank you if you've watched that video, because that was an underdog of a video that should not have been successful, and people have liked that one. So yeah, and now here we are, probably still making some typos, but definitely have some tricks up my sleeves to make things look a little bit better. My experience thus far with Booktube has basically been very positive. I think, as most people talk about in this little sphere of the internet, people are extremely nice, extremely supportive, and it's just a joy to get to talk about books with everyone, which is why I started my channel, was that I wanted a bigger community of book lovers to be able to chat about books that I'm enjoying and books that you're enjoying, and for you to put things on my TBR and me to put things on your TBR, and just think about books a little bit differently. So that's what I was looking for getting into my channel, and it has so far been that. It's been so lovely to get to chat with people in the comments and talk about books, because, you know, when you read a significant amount of books, maybe compared to the average person, which it's not about numbers, but like, people don't really want to hear me talk about that many books in my personal life. If they are not readers themselves, it would be a lot. So it's been nice to be able to talk about them here with you and get to unpack my feelings a little bit more in detail than I typically would be able to, and then have interaction with you all. So that has been lovely. For anyone who has ever commented on a video, much appreciation to you, because it has been such a joy for me to do that. And yeah, the experience has just been great so far, and I'm continuing to do it. So clearly it has been something that I have really liked. In regards to whether or not Booktube has changed my reading, which I think is an interesting question to think about. At first I was like, no, it hasn't changed it at all. I still read what I want to read. And all of that is technically true. My channel it's to document the books that I am reading. Like, I'm not reading for the channel. Like, I don't read books that I'm not interested in. Other people do that, and that's fine. No shade towards people who read books for other purposes, but that will never be what my channel is, nor what I want it to be. I want to just be like reading what I want to read and then come up with interesting ideas from that. I don't ever want to be reading stuff that I wouldn't be interested in. So in that sense, my reading hasn't been changed by the channel. I still pick up what I want to pick up. But thinking about it more in depth, I do think it has changed my reading a little bit. And not in the sense of changing what I read, but I think changing the way that I read it. By that, I mean that because I know I'm going to be talking about what I'm reading, I tend to be formulating more thoughts along the way than I think I was previously. So if something interesting happens in a book, I'll sort of be like, oh, maybe I should flag that away because that was really interesting. And having more thoughts, more time for reflection within the reading process itself, because I know I'm going to need to speak about it a little bit later. It also makes me, like, especially at the end of the month for wrap-ups, it makes me go back and think about what I've read previously in the month. That sometimes can feel like a very long ways away, and reflect on it then. And it's interesting, the thoughts that come up a month out from reading a book. So I've enjoyed that aspect as well, of like, oh, maybe this book hasn't stuck with me as much as I thought it would, or maybe it stuck with me more, or maybe I have different thoughts now that I've read other things in between it than I previously had, like right after I finished it. Things like that. So it's definitely affected the way that I'm thinking about what I'm reading, added some increased thoughtfulness around what I'm reading, and just more introspection in general. I also think because sometimes things will be in videos for a concept, that I have to think about it a little bit differently. So what comes to mind is like when I did my 2 books, 1 title video, and I'm thinking about the title integration. That isn't something that I would think about as heavily as I was thinking about it in that video, but it added so much kind of rich thought for me about the book and the themes and the ways that the title fit into that, because the title is very important to a book, and the author probably was very deliberate with that choice. So that has been interesting when a video concept sort of makes me think about things in a larger context, and I've really enjoyed that as well. So far, the ways that I have changed my reading for the channel, I have really loved, and just enjoyed the additional reflection and thought along the way. So yeah, that's sort of some of my initial thoughts about the channel. If you have any questions about how I'm feeling about the channel or anything like that, feel free to ask it down below, and I'm happy to answer that. I'm sure there's lots of things I'm not thinking about, but just to give a brief summary of what it's been like for me thus far, that is a little bit of it. So yeah, again, very, very appreciative to get to chat with all of you, and I love doing that. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, let's go ahead and get into some of the Booktube recommendations. So I want to say around 10 here. So I'm going to have like 6, I think, that I'm going to talk about in more detail, maybe a little bit more than that. And then I'll rapid fire some off at the end. All of these channels will be in the description down below, so please go check them out if they sound interesting to you. So firstly, before I get into some of the channels, I just want to shout out someone that I have gotten to talk to in the comments quite regularly, and I love getting to chat with them. There have been so many of you that I regularly talk to in the comments, And I love doing that. It feels like, I know it's a parasocial relationship and there's lots to be said about that, but it feels like it is a fun piece of connection that I'm getting to have with you. And I love it. So thank you. But to call out one person in particular who frequently comments on my channel, and I feel like I know their reading taste pretty well now, and I just enjoy getting to talk to them every time, is Joe. So Joe, special shout out to Joe. If this is awkward for you, please let me know and I won't do it again. But I want to say thank you for almost always commenting on my videos and chatting with me about books. I think it's so interesting the way our tastes differ and the way our tastes align, and I've loved it. So big shout out to Joe. You're always commenting in there for me, and I very much am thankful for that. So now let's get into the Booktube recommendation. So firstly, I want to call out someone that I actually found through Joe, to kind of have a through line there, because they also subscribe to this channel, and that's how I found them. And this channel is going to be the channel that is most similar to mine. I think, you know, everyone says this, but like everyone has their own personal taste in reading, right? So I tend to say like my taste is pretty varied. I do read a lot of what would be considered like literary fiction, a lot of translated fiction, a lot of small presses, those types of things. But I also read a decent amount of genre fiction and a wide range of genre fiction. So I read romance and mystery and thriller and horror and like all of those things. And sometimes that mixture can be hard to find with some other booktubers. I think the channel that I found that is most similar to my channel, in the sense that they read a lot of literary fiction, particularly translated fiction, but also read romance novels, also read Heartstopper graphic novels, also read the Veronica Speedwell series, which is a mystery series, right? They read all of those things, but then also loved Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro, which was one of my favorite books last year. So in many ways, our reading tastes are similar, not exactly the same, but the most similar I found thus far. And that is Smithy from Sant Reads. So she is the one I found that has the most similar taste to me so far on Booktube. So if you're looking for people who read sort of the same mix of books that I do, their channel would be a very good one to check out. They particularly read a lot of translated literature from India because they live in India. Yeah, so if you're looking for that, head over to their channel. So that is the channel that is most similar to mine that I found thus far. Next up is the channel that I don't read similarly to really at all, but I still watch anyway, mainly for their personality and for the way that they talk about books. So I thought this would be a good flip side of the previous recommendation, and that is Desmond Z. So their channel is @DesmondZ. So Desmond reads a lot of contemporary fiction, a lot of new releases. So if you're into getting to hear about new releases, his channel is great for that. And I almost read nothing that he reads, but I still enjoy watching his channel because he has such a fun personality to get to watch and review books. I always enjoy hearing him speak about books that he loves and hates, even if I know that I'm probably not going to read it. So if you're interested in new contemporary fiction and you want someone who has a lovely personality, highly recommend Desmond Z for that. Next up is the first channel that I found through my own channel. So the first channel that I found by someone commenting on my own channel, which if you comment on my channel, I always check to see if you have a Booktube channel yourself. And that is Kedavon from Kedavon Reads, who I've talked about several times before. But Kedavon initially commented on one of my videos very early on, and I found they also had a channel and went to their channel and loved it. They read, again, a lot of translated literature, a lot of literary fiction. They read a decent amount of nonfiction. Their channel is also lovely and great, and would highly recommend them as well. So that is Kedavon Reads, first person I found through my own channel. Next recommendation we have is the most recent channel that I have subscribed to, and this is Hannah Lost the Plot. So I just found this channel, maybe like just a couple of weeks ago. So it really is the most recent channel that I have subscribed to. They are based in the UK and they read a lot of literary fiction, again, a lot of new releases. They cover things like the Booker and the Women's Prize and stuff like that. So more prize heavy than maybe my channel is, but I definitely enjoy their content. They have a lovely personality. And yeah, they do a lot of long form vlog type of videos where they're reading a large amount of books for one video concept, which I very much love and have appreciation for, because that takes so much time to do, like more time than I am willing to put in at this point. So yeah, they have a lot of long form vlog type of videos and cover prizes, things like that. So that is Hannah Lost the Plot. Next up, we have channel that has grown on me the most since first watching Booktube. So as a watcher of Booktube much earlier than starting my own channel, I started watching Booktube during the pandemic because I just had more time on my hands and was reading and didn't have a lot of people to talk in person to about reading because we were in lockdown. So I started watching YouTube a lot more, and I saw this channel from the beginning, but this channel has grown on me. And by grown on me, I don't mean I didn't like it in the beginning. I very much enjoyed it, but my enjoyment has grown the longer that I've watched. And that is Greg from Supposedly Fun. I think I mentioned his channel once before because he does book haul revisits, and I've just started doing those now that I've hit my year mark. And it's very much inspired by the ones that he does on his channel. His channel has vastly grown on me. I like it more and more as I watch his videos. And I think this is partly because, one, now being a content creator myself, I realize how much effort he puts into his channel. One, just the volume of videos. He puts out 3 videos a week, which is a lot. And his videos are so well thought out and take a lot of effort to do. And I very much respect that now that I know how hard it is. So he does like Pulitzer Prize videos because he's trying to read through all of the Pulitzer Prize winners. And he does like deep dives with a ton of research about those. He has videos where basically he's written a blog post that's very reflective, and it'll sort of be like a script for his videos. So his videos are so well thought out. A lot of planning goes into them, and I've just grown to respect that more and more over time, how thoughtful he is. And his husband has been on the channel more and more lately, and his husband Joel is so lovely, and I love seeing them both together. It's just like it will warm your heart because they're such an adorable couple. They're just so kind and considerate of one another, and it's so nice to watch. It's very heartwarming. It's almost like, you know, how people watch Bake Off because it's so wholesome. Watching them do their monthly wrap-ups together is so wholesome. It's like watching Bake Off for me. So that is a channel that I've grown to love more and more over time. Next up, we have a channel with amazing recommendations that I have not heard about before. So this one goes to Sarah from Eyes on Indie. They had a channel name switch not too long ago. And her channel is solely dedicated to small and independent presses. So she constantly has new recommendations for books coming out from small and independent presses that I have not heard about before. And I myself look into small and independent presses, but there's so many of them, and it's always nice to have a constant source of new information from. And she does a series where she talks about upcoming releases for like given time frames very frequently. So she's always giving you recommendations to turn to. So that's recommendations that I have not heard of before. Definitely goes to Eyes on Indie with Sarah. So check out her channel below if you're wanting more recommendations. And then the last one that I'm going to specifically talk about before I give rapid fire ones is the channel that has influenced my personal life the most. So I will say with YouTube, I mainly watch Booktube. I don't watch a lot of lifestyle content or other sides of YouTube other than board games, but that's a separate thing. But Booktube definitely takes up the majority of my YouTube watching. So this channel is probably the biggest channel that I'm going to be mentioning. That is Lauren in the Books by Lauren. And her channel, I've found that while, again, we don't have the exact same reading taste, sometimes we have overlap when we read the same books, but more often than not, we're not reading the same things. But their personal life that gets put interspersed into their vlogs has definitely influenced me as I was thinking about this. So they have influenced me in a couple of ways. One, last year they were doing a low spend year because they were getting married and trying to save money for that. And I ended up doing a low spend year last year as well, really similarly to the way that she did hers because of hearing about it on her channel. And I was like, oh, that sounds very interesting. Like, I'm trying to be more minimalist. I don't like clothing shopping or anything like that anyway, but trying to like really minimize the amount of like physical material things that I'm bringing in. And yeah, so I did a low spend year because Lauren was doing it and I heard about it there and was like, oh, that sounds like something I want to do. So that influenced my entire year, and I have actually kept doing that this year. So I buy one material item a month, and then if there's other things I want to buy, I keep them on a list to see if next month I still want to buy it. But yeah, one thing a month, and that's all. So I've enjoyed doing that, and now I've been doing that for over a year and a half. So that has definitely influenced me. Also, she is vegetarian and often shows recipes that she does in her vlogs. And there's a cookbook that she always brings up. It's called The Green Roasting Tin. And I was looking to try and make more recipes for myself. So I bought the original version of that book, which is just called The Roasting Tin, because I wanted to start with the OG, and decided that this year I was going to cook my way through that entire cookbook. Now, I have done some of that. I've made some changes along the way, but I bought that cookbook because of her. I started cooking recipes from it because of her, because she'll talk about trying to like cook her way through a cookbook. And I thought that was such a lovely thing to do. So those are just a couple of the ways that Lauren has influenced my personal life. But yeah, Lauren in the Books, she reads a lot of contemporary literature, but she reads a good mix of backlist and frontlist. She does vlogs every week, I think, and yeah, has a lot of fun videos. She also makes 3 videos a week, which is a lot. And she has been on Booktube for, I think, like 10 years, so a very long time. So she's very well established. So those are the channels that I've wanted to shout out today. I will do maybe another one of these later on, maybe on my 2nd anniversary. Let me know if you'd be interested in more Booktuber recommendations, and I can definitely do that. But 3 more channels I want to just rapid fire call out because all of these people have commented on my videos and also have channels, and I have enjoyed watching their channels as well. But I didn't want this video to be crazy long. So more that I want to shout out are Audrey Approved. She reads a ton of nonfiction. So if you're looking for nonfiction recommendations, her channel is great. Mariana Mas Books. She reads a lot of Spanish literature because that is her native language, and reads lots of translated stuff into English still. So there's lots of English translations. If you speak English, you can still watch her and get a lot of recommendations there. She is lovely to watch. And then also Kelly Ann Mitchell, also lovely to watch. Reads a good mix of books as well. So those are 3 other channels that I have talked to them in the comments down below of my own channel and would highly recommend. So again, all of these channels are going to be listed down below. If you're interested in any of them, please go check them out. And let me know what booktubers you love to watch. I'm always looking for more, so please let me know your favorites down below. And once again, thank you for my first year on Booktube. I've just loved it, and I will continue doing it for as long as I'm able and enjoying it, which seems like it will be a long time. So thank you again, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.